Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Caitlyn commentary guide. And now, I'm sure most of you guys saw this one coming. Of course, Caitlyn is the latest ADC and I'm an ADC main. And of course, I always want to be able to play all the ADCs. Of course, I'm still not good at some of them like Akshan, but I at least try to, learn them to at least a decent level. And Caitlyn, honestly, like every other ADC that I've played, like, I'm not someone who masters a champion very quickly, so generally it takes me like at least over 10 matches to sort of at least get comfortable on the champion. And on Caitlyn, I think this is like maybe like my 7th, 8th match on Caitlyn, so I'm not really there yet, but I just wanted to get out some Caitlyn content. I think I played relatively well in this match, but definitely there are going to be some mistakes, and definitely I could be doing better for this particular champion, but we still do relatively well. So of course this is in a PvP where I'm of course trying to learn the character itself, so I'm not in a ranked game. I'm against actually an enemy Caitlyn. So here, as you can see, Lux actually managed to snare the Caitlyn, and while she snared, I walked up to put a trap straight onto the Caitlyn's head. That is something you can do if you have a support with CC. You can actually combo that CC with your support, because when they are actually stunned, they cannot attack you even though you walk up to put the trap. Of course, the other person in the lane can attack you, but in general, it's still alright because it's still a 2v1. So here, we managed to get both of them low enough for Lux to secure the double kill, but in the meantime, Aurelion Sol with a very brilliant roam to actually get the return kill onto me. But instead, we actually have Lux here who's standing right in the middle of the Aurelion Sol, so she can't actually get hit by the stars, and she gets the 3rd kill onto the Aurelion Sol. So overall, it's a 3-for-1, still a very good trade. So Caitlyn is very strong in the early and the late game. In the mid game, she sort of has a power trough, so you gotta take advantage of your early game. If you get ahead enough in your early game, it sort of kind of can mitigate your weakness in the mid game, but of course you are still gonna feel that you're a little bit weak in the mid game. Now, so what you generally want to do is you want to try to auto attack your opponents as much as possible in lane, because generally you will outrange. Actually, you will definitely outrange everybody, because Caitlyn has the longest basic attack range out of all the characters in Wild Rift. So you definitely will be able to outrange them. Of course, I'm playing against an enemy Caitlyn, so that doesn't really apply here. But in a ranked game, that will always apply. So, what do I feel about Caitlyn's power level? I don't really think she's actually that strong, but I do not think she's weak either. I think that she has a lot of good matchups, especially against low-range characters like Vayne, Lucian, and Kai'Sa, who are all really good in the meta now, and I think that makes her even better. But if you're up against someone with like longer range, like of course there's no one with range longer than you. So if you're up against someone like a Xayah, a Misfortune, a Jhin, you will not be like as dominant. There actually the Rengar stepped into the trap, didn't manage to pull down the scoreboard fast enough for you guys to see that. But here I actually tanked the aggro so that the Kazakhs can jump in. Actually I do get the kill as well. So Aurelion Sol comes in with another well-timed roam, but thankfully we have already fled the scene of the crime before that has happened. So yeah, you want to be aggressive in the early game. Here we are actually doing pretty alright. I'm 2-1-1, not the best. Lux is 3-0-2, which is way better, but we're still doing relatively well as a bot lane. Now, something I want to briefly discuss is I'm not actually very sure what Caitlyn's best build is. Now, I'm relatively sure that Infinity Edge is her best item. Now, for the next 2 items, I've been experimenting with Static Shift and Rapid Fire Cannon, and kind of swapping the order around, like going for Rapid Fire first and going for Static Shift after that. And also, I've tried to go for Static Shift first and Rapid Fire Cannon after that as your 2nd and 3rd item, of course. And I think after a little bit of testing, I do feel like I prefer to go for Static Shift first and Rapid Fire Cannon 2nd. But I feel this one is a lot of personal preference. Like, there is a trade-off. Like, with Static Shift, you get more damage and also the chain effect of that. But with the Rapid Fire Cannon, you get more safety and more range. Now there, me and Lux with sort of a pretty nice combo of double like long range ults. So didn't actually manage to secure the kill there, and our team sort of loses the team fight. So it kind of doesn't really work out on this one. But yeah, we did our best. And with regards to the next item, normally as your 4th item you will go for Mortal Reminder, because Serelda's Grudge honestly on Caitlyn isn't really very useful. Like, the slow on your trap is going to do nothing since they're rooted anyway. The slow on your net is already very strong, so you don't really need the Serelda slow. So only slow you can really get is on your Piltover Peacemaker, which is your Q, which isn't really all that useful because you can only proc it with your Q, so it's kind of not really worth it. And your ult generally is used as an execution, so you wouldn't really need the slow from that one. So generally, like 95% of the time, you will always want to go for Mortal Reminder. Now, as your last item after Mortal Reminder, there is also some variance here. Normally, you want to go for GA, but I have also heard that some people like to go for Executioner's Calling as your last item. Now, I can see the logic in that because you will hit 100% crit and you will gain like a huge source of lifesteal. So I do think that there are cases where, especially if you're very ahead, that might be a better option than Guardian Angel. But I feel like in the meta, there are way too many assassins who can like one-shot you. Like, for example, in this game, I'm up against a Rengar, and you know, if you're up against something like a Katarina or whatever, you definitely need the Guardian Angel because you want to be able to come back to life after they have, you know, assassinated you, basically. So here I've actually put a trap behind the Annie when she came in. So when she tried to retreat, she reversed into the trap, which is of course the intended outcome here. Lux with a very spot-on ultimate, allowing me to lock onto the Caitlyn. Of course, no one there to block for her with the Annie dead. So here we get a very nice double kill, and which allows us to sort of go for the tower because Aurelion Sol, Jace, and Rengar are actually at the Rift Herald fight at the moment. So there is no one here to actually contest our tower push. So here we can actually easily pick up the first tower as a result of the double kill we just picked up on the enemy bot lane. So yeah, those are the couple of things you can build her with, and I have yet to actually conclude what is the best build for her. When I do so, I'll definitely make a complete guide on Caitlyn, as well as, of course, with another Caitlyn gameplay, probably way better than this one. I would say that the main challenge of Caitlyn is just how to use her traps properly. Like, her Q is really not that complicated, her E is not that complicated, her auto text really is not that complicated, her headshot isn't complicated either, her ult is really not complicated either. It's just really her traps and how to use them optimally, which I definitely am not doing right now, but I'm trying to get towards there. So yeah. Her combos are there are a couple of combos, but it's really not very complicated as well. I'm saying that a lot, but really Caitlyn is quite a simplistic character to play. Sort of like the combos you can do is like a EQ kind of combo. So when you E backwards, you can queue up your Q, and it will fire off when you land, and then after you follow up with a headshot, assuming you actually hit someone with your net. So there is, of course, like double and triple headshot combos. Now how you do that is, like, when you have charged up your headshot, like with your 6th attack, you actually walk up, trap someone. Actually, not trap someone. You actually walk up, auto attack them for the headshot, trap someone for a second headshot, and then do the first combo that I talked about, which is to E Q headshot. That's your like maximum damage, and if they're still not dead yet, out them and they will definitely die with. Like, this is pretty much your full combo. I won't actually do it in this video because normally you don't actually need your full combo to kill someone, and normally your skills are better used in other ways, like just traps to zone, headshots just on whoever you can hit them on, and like E whenever you need to reposition or whatnot. So generally you will never really just full combo. The full combo is more likely to be done in the laning phase when you want to sort of burst somebody down, as compared to like in mid and late game team fights, because normally when that happens you're just outputting damage on whoever you can, and at the same time trying to stay as safe as possible. Here I have my headshot queued up, so I'm just gonna walk into the tower range and that's gonna just take down the tower. It's only at 111 health, so I can easily just kill the tower just with my headshot onto the tower. So I am going to just do that to secure my team, the mid lane tower. Of course I take a tower shot for my troubles, but that's not like too big of an issue. So here in the mid game, I have this is sort of where you feel you're a little bit weaker. I have like my first two items already, which is my Infinity Edge and my Static Shift, which will of course alleviate the situation quite a bit, but you really do feel a drop off in power compared to the early game, where people now start getting items and they're, you know, a bit stronger and they kind of outscale you a little bit, whereas compared to the late game where you will start to outscale them again. So she has a very weak mid game. Here we actually managed to kill the Rengar and root him as well. Here yet again, Caitlyn survives on a sliver of HP. Previous time was Aurelian's Soul. Sometimes you just get a little bit unlucky where your ace in the hole, your ultimate, does not actually secure the kill for you. Sometimes they just live on a sliver of HP, and really, there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes they just get lucky. Sometimes you get a little bit unlucky, and of course, sometimes you don't expect to kill, but you actually do. So yeah, those kind of things do happen. Now, in terms of mana, Caitlyn actually consumes quite a lot of mana. Now, she's not as mana hungry as someone like a Miss Fortune, but she does spend a pretty decent amount of mana if you spam your spells a little bit too much. Of course, in the late stage of the game when you're at full build or close to full build, actually her just auto attacking non-stop and not casting your spells will actually end up letting you do more damage. Of course, if you manage to trap people or what, your headshot will actually increase your overall damage. But if you cannot use your spells, you can actually just straight up just keep on auto attacking, only use your spells when you really need to, like to reposition with your E and like your traps if you need to zone people away or want to trap people who already CC. But in general, in the late game, you don't really want to use your Q because just straight up auto attacking will do damage, more damage than your Q, unless of course you can get a Q onto like 3 or 4 people. Of course, then it's kind of worth it to Q. If not, it really actually isn't worth it to cast your Q at all. It's more worth it to just auto attack because your auto attack will actually do more damage than your Q. Now, an interesting point which I have yet to bring up and actually yet to demonstrate, but I will later on in the game, like almost towards the end of the game. Actually, Caitlyn counters Guardian Angel and Stasis. Now, the reason for that is that when they are into Guardian Angel and Stasis, you can literally put a trap right on top of them, and the trap will not proc while they're reviving or while they're stuck in the when they're golden and in the stasis. But the moment that they come out of their stasis or come out of their Guardian Angel, assuming you put the trap properly, they literally have no counterplay. They can't flash out of the trap. The only thing they can do is to QSS the trap if they have it. But if they don't have QSS, which not a lot of people actually go for QSS in Wild Rift. They normally go for, of course, if they go for stasis, they don't have QSS. That's obvious. But if they have in the GA and they don't have QSS, you guarantee you will trap them when they come out of the GA, and you guarantee you will trap them when they come out of the stasis. That one is definitely guaranteed, assuming you put the trap on top of them properly. Of course, if you put it a little bit too much to the left or right, of course it's not gonna work. That's obvious. But if you have done it properly, you guarantee a trap, and therefore you guarantee a headshot, and that second or so of CC can allow your team to destroy them, possibly just destroy them and kill them for good. So Caitlyn kind of counters Guardian Angel and Stasis in that way. So we have to see how that really affects the mana. I haven't really seen a lot of Caitlyn's do that effectively yet, and because you of course have to step up to do that, but putting herself in danger, but sometimes it is kind of worth it to do it. Here you guys can see that the enemy Caitlyn has set up a ton of traps, and so have I. Now, of course, the sort of a little bit bad thing about Static Shiv is that if you're trying to get tower, it's always going to aggro the enemy, and if you step out to reset the tower aggro, that's something, of course, you want to keep in mind whenever you're playing any Static Shiv character, of course, that you don't go too far into the tower, because sometimes you're attacking the tower, but your Static Shiv procs, and you end up taking tower aggro, and if you're too far in, you might just take a couple of tower shots and die, or be in a very bad state. So here, my team pretty much is destroying them. Jace backing in a very dangerous position, allowing me to ult him for the kill. No one actually blocked for him, so yeah, easy kill onto the Jace. Like, your ult actually does a lot of damage. So another use of your ult is, instead of ulting people to finish them off, you can actually instead straight up just ult people from far away if there's a ongoing fight and you can't join the fight because your ult is so long range. Sometimes that damage from your ult, even if you don't, even if they're not low, even if they're at 80-75% health, and you ult them, it still does a decent chunk of damage. For example, maybe it'll do 20-30% of their health, and sometimes in a fight, that's all your teammates need to actually just finish them off. So you don't always have to use your ult for the kill. You can also just use it straight up for the damage. So that's another way you can use your ult. So that's something else to keep in mind. I don't actually do that in this video at all, so we'll probably see if we can show that off in a future video. Maybe one of the maybe the complete guide that will, of course, eventually come sooner or later. No promises there, as in I can say that it'll come out, but I can't say when it'll come out, within the next week, within the next month, or when will it come out. But probably I would think that it would be within the next month, I would think. But nobody knows how long I'll take to master Caitlyn, and to get a good gameplay of her in a ranked game, of course. So here, of course, you can see the power of the traps. Like when you're doing an objective like Baron, and the enemy team is on the opposite side, you can straight up cut off the most obvious main entrance to the objective. Same story if you are doing the dragon. Of course, in this case, we are actually on red side, so the dragon is sort of hard to trap around the dragon without putting yourself in danger. But in this case, you guys can see how I did it with the Baron. Like, they're gonna have to walk mainly down that path, if not through the mid lane jungle opening. But the most common path is through the blue buff opening. So I have trapped up the entire opening, so they literally cannot walk there. Of course, they didn't even bother to contest the Baron, but if they did, they wouldn't actually be able to get through without one of them eating the trap and me getting a free headshot. So that is a very good play you can do when you're trying to take an objective. Here you'll see the part where someone goes into GA or stasis, and I actually try to trap on top of their head. I think it's the Rengar. No, it's not the Rengar. Rengar doesn't actually have GA. Here the Arden Soul tries to go into GA. I actually try to trap him, but he actually dies so fast that the trap doesn't even proc. So it's kind of like a little bit unsuccessful here. I actually didn't have any more traps to put onto the Arden Soul, so yeah, he doesn't actually get trapped. But anyways, yeah, that was the Caitlyn commentary guide with our first ever Caitlyn gameplay on the channel. And of course, I'll as usual leave you guys with the build and the stats. So thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.